shouting in Arabic to each other, and then they started looking at us saying, "Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. You're blacklisted. Why are you in Lebanon? What are you doing here?" And this interrogation went on and on for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then a supervisor came out from the office and pulled us aside, took us into the office, and then continued the interrogation for another half hour. "Why are you doing here? What, you shouldn't be here. You're blacklisted. You don't ever come back to Lebanon. What are you doing here? What do you do for jobs?" It went on and on and on. We were terrified.
The English was limited.
Yeah, that sounds.
You're listening to Queer Travel Chat by Two Bad Tourists. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Queer Travel Chat. My name is Austin. I am one half of the blogger duo, the Nomadic Boys. Just kidding. We are Two Bad Tourists. We are interviewing the Nomadic Boys today on our podcast, so I'm super excited about that. So what has been going on since we last recorded, David?
I feel like we're recording a lot lately. What happened to our month-long breaks between episodes?
Well, we were supposed to record once a month, and then 3 got compressed into 4 weeks.
Well, we did have a topless tour since our last episode.
A topless tour?
Not a topless tour. That's a different night.
Okay.
But we've talked about that in the past, how we're doing our own topless tour here in Madrid, and it was a little bit of a disaster, I would say.
Listen, I double booked myself. I invited some people on that I was going to show them around.
I was supposed to go on it, and then I got sick that day.
Our guide showed up 30 minutes late. But all the next ones are going to be perfect.
We're working out the kinks. Yes, so I think the guests still had a good time in the end. We managed to save it.
Yeah, no one mentioned anything afterwards.
Good, because
we ended up
everything went wrong on our end. But if nobody knows, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. What else do you have going on?
I just booked a trip to Mallorca yesterday. I'm super excited. I'm going to be staying 4 nights there in July. So that's
cool. When are we going?
No, you're not going. I'm taking my boyfriend. Sorry.
Fine.
Also booked a trip to Torremolinos in August for Bears Week, which you're actually going to be on. Yeah, and there's the
love Bears Week. It's so fun to party with
Malaga.
Bears.
Yeah.
Well, my sister just moved here from the US. She moved to Spain. That's my big update since the last time we recorded.
She just moved to Spain, but then she immediately left to Hungary.
Yeah, she went to go to Hungary immediately. Oh wait, I don't think we can even say that.
Oh yeah, delete that.
we can't say that, but she just moved here. She's applying for the digital nomad visa, so hopefully she'll get it, and then I guess she's going to be in Spain for a while. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Hopefully we can get her that visa. I hope we get it. Our friend just did the same thing last year as well. So and another cool thing that I'm doing, maybe slightly controversial, is I'm going to a bullfight tomorrow. Have you ever been to a bullfight?
Never in 11 years in Spain.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what you think about. It's obviously controversial. I have some thoughts on both sides about it.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I haven't done it either in the 11 years that we've been here. I know that's a little controversial. I don't think it's really my thing, but I always thought, it's part of the culture, and we do live here, and it's something that I wanted to see and learn about. But then I told my boyfriend about it, and then I think he might have been a little disappointed that I was going. And then he described to me how graphic it was, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'm not.
Are you going by yourself, or are you going with
I'm going with Stevie.
Oh, okay.
So my roommate, the one that just moved here last year from the States. So she wants to go. She invited me. I always said if somebody invited me, I would go. So but then they were describing to me how graphic it is and intense. So I don't know. I'm gonna see. I'll report back next time when we're recording.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
You don't want to go? You don't want to see it?
No, I'll take your.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you all about it. Well, let's get into today's episode. We are going to be talking with Sebi and Stefan, who are who are both halves
of the Nomadic Boys.
Who are both halves of the adorable couple behind the LGBTQ travel blog, Nomadic Boys. They are going to talk to us about their travels as well as their new book coming out this month called Out in the World, the 2024 International LGBTQIA Plus Travel Guide Filled with Pride, available May 9th.
So, okay, yeah, speaking of travel books, do you use travel books
No, I read. I'm right now reading a history book on Madrid because it's good for working as a tour guide here, and just learning about where we live is fascinating. And later have another a Spain history book. But as far as travel books, I haven't really used a lot. Maybe a little bit of Lonely Planet. You got into it more when we were planning our trips.
Yeah,
right?
we first planned our big year-long trip about 12 years ago, I bought one of those Lonely Planet guidebooks, which was designed for people traveling long term, and that was super helpful. There were lots of tips in there that I probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. And travel blogs weren't as like ubiquitous as they are today.
You used a couple, but
yeah, I used a couple, but I would have been really nice to have like an LGBT specific book to use in our planning. So well, now there is one, or at least on May
yeah, we're
9th there will
excited to
be.
learn to add this one to our collection.
So if you guys like the show, please subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please be sure to leave a 5-star review if you enjoy our episodes. Plus, if you're watching on any of the social media platforms, feel free to leave us a comment and share the episode with your friends. And as always, you can follow us on social media. We're always at Too Bad Tourists.
So who is today's episode sponsor?
So yeah, just a few words from our sponsor. And as usual, I did not sell a sponsorship spot, so I'm going to hijack it and promote our cruise in the Caribbean, which is in February 2025. So we're going to actually be visiting 5 destinations along 8 days on Virgin Voyages. And if you're one of the first 5 people to book, you will get a $300 discount and $600 of free onboard spending, but you have to be one of the first 5. I think we already have 2 or 3 bookings, so they're going to go quick. So visit our website at twobadtourist.com to learn more.
Maybe we could like have our merch be our. You can't see if it's audio, but if it's video, you can see do Too Bad Tourist merch. This could be ours. This is just for our tours.
All right. Let's bring them on.
I'm excited about our bags.
Nomadic Boys, come on in.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're here in Cyprus.
I was going to ask where you're calling from. So how's Cyprus there? The weather's warm, it looks like.
Nice. Yeah.
It's cold here in Madrid.
And for those who don't know, Cyprus is home for you guys nowadays, right?
That's right. I'm originally from there. It's a small island country in the Southeast Mediterranean, a Greek culture, and we moved here in 2018, and it's great. We got good
But
weather.
you grew up in London, right?
That's right. That's why I got the British accent.
Yeah, but and your family is from Cyprus.
Yeah, they're all
Okay,
Greeks.
great place to be based.
Yeah. So David and I were like chatting before the podcast. We're trying to figure out when was actually the first time we met, because I'm sure we spoke on social media for a while before, but do you remember when the first time?
I do. We started in 2013 because I was Googling what I used to be a lawyer, and I wanted to leave, and I wanted to find out what other lawyers had done, and I found Jodie Ettenberg. She had Legal Nomads blog, and then I discovered the world of blogging from her. And I think once we started our trip, we were Googling then, always Google like gays with something, and then we found you guys, and we're like, oh, who are these 2 cute guys? And we
found our OnlyFans.
No, back then it would have been. I don't know what it was.
It was well before OnlyFans.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well before OnlyFans, we haven't
Send me the link.
That's a different conversation, David. That's a different podcast.
You'll save 50% if you subscribe by the end of this episode.
We got our collaboration we've discussed. That's a whole different episode.
Listen, this is just getting the audio clip so that we can promote this episode.
Love the savviness.
Wait, so
I connected with Austin on through the gay. There was a gay group, I think, for bloggers, and I connected with Austin, and we clicked straight away.
That's right. Yeah, like a Facebook group. Yeah, we chatted. That's right. Okay.
That's right. And
Because it was around the same time that we had just started traveling.
Yeah, and then I know the 4 of us together, I feel like definitely all met in person for the first time.
Was Gran Canaria?
I'll tell you, that was the week during Brexit. I remember it well. When
yes.
2016.
Yeah, the Brexit vote happened while we were there. So that was 2016. Does that sound right? Or maybe 15? Yeah.
2016 in June.
What a fun trip. Yeah, I remember a group of...
That was a great trip.
I don't know,
Yeah, there was so we stayed at this gay guest house called Paso Chico, I think, which is right in front of the Yumbo Center in Mas Palomas, which if you don't know Mas Palomas, it's like this super gay city in the Canary Islands, which is part of Spain.
It's like the Fire Island of Europe, right?
Say that again?
It's like the Fire Island of Europe. Could you say that about Gran Canaria? It's not as gay as Fire Island. It's not maybe a bit bigger.
Well, and definitely a lot more tacky. Like Fire Island is known for, it is very gay, but it's like posh, right? Like I think it's quite expensive and it's posh. So it's like that in the sense of it's a big gay destination, island destination, but a little bit different.
Yeah, I always think of it more like the cities, like Sitges, Torremolinos, and Maspalomas are like the fire islands of their region, or,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
their
yeah,
P
for sure.
towns and their.
But yeah, that's a fair
Rings.
comparison. Yeah, it's a fair comparison. But that's what's actually great about Maspalomas is like it's very approachable. It's very inexpensive, right? From most parts of Europe, even though it's actually quite far. It's on the like off the coast of Morocco, really far south. You can get like a budget flight for like 50 euros, 60 euros, and it's really inexpensive to be there as well.
Yeah.
When was the last time then we were all together that we saw each other in person? It wasn't that trip, right?
It was because we saw you. I saw you guys in Milan. Seb couldn't make that.
Right.
Okay.
But in person, it was 2016 during the.
Wow, I think that was the one and only time. So we're due for another meetup.
We sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely with you, David. David, I think I haven't seen you for a long time, but Austin, we've seen each other quite.
Yeah, because he tends to go to the more of the travel conferences that I've
seen
miss
you
out
guys
on.
at
Yeah,
events, for
so
sure.
that doesn't surprise me. Well, before we get into your book, because I definitely want to ask you guys questions about it and hear all about it, but if you guys could give us your whole origin story, how did Nomadic Boys get started? You mentioned you started looking at blogs on your own when you're starting to travel. So how did you, get your own blog started, and what was the vision of it?
So we started. We met in 2009. And so I was a lawyer at the time. Sebi was a computer programmer, and he always said to me from the start, "Look, I don't want to stay in London forever, Stefan. I want to move around the world. I want to live in Barcelona for a bit. I want to live in Sydney. I want to live in Buenos Aires. I don't want to stay stuck in London." I was like, "Yeah, I want to as well." We'd hit our 30s, and we were evaluating what we want from life. We didn't want kids. We didn't want to be tied down by mortgage and school fees. We wanted a different way of life. So we decided that, okay, we're going to do a big trip, a sabbatical, and then he'll work on websites online digitally. He could work anywhere if there was internet. And I would be like an English teacher or something in the teaching realm. I've always wanted to be a teacher. And we said, so it's in 2014, by that point, we'd saved up, we planned. We left London, we left our jobs, our lives there for a big trip in Asia. And we started Nomadic Boys mainly as a website blog to share our friends and family to follow along the trip, mainly for Seb's mother, because she's always worried about him. And he'd do videos like, bonjour la France, and say where we are for his mother. And it started there.
We had a French and English version then. Now it's only an English version.
Yes.
But yeah, we used to translate every single blog post in French.
Oh,
Just
wow.
my mom could read, she was the only reader probably in French as well.
That's a pretty similar story to how and why we started our blog. Because it was like both of our moms were like constantly like asking about us. We're like, "Mom, just read the blog. If we don't post in a few days, then call the police."
You guys are both from Arizona, right? Your mothers were both based in Arizona, so you left there to go. You went to Africa for a bit and Asia.
And
Europe
we did.
And
Central South America.
How did we do it? Yeah, we started like in Central America, then went over to Europe for a few months, Africa for a month, 6 weeks, then to Asia, then to Latin America, and then back. Well, not back home. Well, we did go back home for a few weeks, but then we came to Spain. And
so
then
we were doing this
back.
in 2012, right?
Yeah, ours is 2012.
2013.
Yours
What
is
year?
2014. You
So
said
just the year.
14, 2 years after. And
Okay.
we started with Asia, actually. I mean, we started with Europe, and then we made our way into Asia. So we took the Trans-Siberian from in Russia onto Mongolia and China. And that was our way to get into Asia. That was
So you timed the Russia trip well. It's not a place we can go anymore.
Yes, it will change, but not now.
It'll
Not right
change.
now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Stefan, did you ever end up teaching English at any point?
No, never got there, because so we got about a year in to the trip. We were living off savings, and we started getting random people coming to the website who weren't our family friends, and it was basically people who were Googling things like, is there gay hotels in Bali? Where's the gay bars in Phnom Penh? And basically there was no content online, good content online, up-to-date content online about gay stuff in Asia. What is it? And so there were
5 places in Asia that we went, of course.
No, you're right. It's literally just that. I think Patrock was the only one of what it was really out of date stuff. But Patrock was fantastic for its time. But so they'd find our stuff, and then he's got a background in web design and SEO, So we then said we can do something with this. So we started writing more for gay travelers at that point and less so for family and friends. And it shifted the focus of our writing and kind of took off from there.
Isn't that always an awkward transition? I think that's awkward because our friends and family followed it back home, and it's like following your family. And then when you target the gay community, you're promoting different things.
It's like a second coming out to your family. You know, like, so you can't talk about what I had for breakfast this morning anymore, and sending you pictures. Now we got to talk about gay hookups and where to.
Yeah, and it's always photos and men in speedos. We're like, sorry.
One is funny now because my whole family, I think, listens to our podcast, and my nieces and nephews who are 8 and 12 and 16, whatever, are listening. I'm like, what are we saying? Like, should they be listening?
Oh, well, shout out to them.
Yeah, they listen with my brother in the car. So funny.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I just want to say congratulations, because in 2014 you started this blog, realized that you wanted to do a little writing project online, and now where are we at? 2024, 10 years later, you've written and you're publishing your first book, which is amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Tell us about the book.
The book. So our book.
What can people expect?
This is
out in the world. I mean, it's showing.
I love the cover.
Pretty.
It's very shimmery and
it's like gay, but not too gay. It's gay, but it's not like rainbow. It's
literally a rainbow.
But it's not a rainbow. But it's not a traditional rainbow. It's like the colors. It's like the color palette, but it's not a traditional rainbow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is pretty, and when you walk into bookstore and then you see that, you just want to buy it because it's just so shiny. So, yeah,
for sure. So is it going to be? Is it going to help travelers plan their destinations? What can they expect inside? Are they going to get salacious stories from you?
We split it into 6 continents that we've been to, and we've picked from each one the best or our favorite destination, and for each one we have a travel story for it, and also highlights for gay travelers and practical safety tips. What we say is that you guys are talking in your intro about Lonely Planet and Rough Guides. They're written from a third person perspective, right? Our USP, also on our blog, your blog as well online, our USP is that it's our voice, it's our first person narrative. So the person reading it relates more to that personality and connects with it more. That's the difference of our book to the traditional guidebook that we're accustomed to.
Yeah, I think adding a personal story to it is definitely a nice touch, because it makes it kind of more entertaining as well as you're making your plans for your trip.
Right.
Yes.
I saw some blurbs online and I liked it.
I have no idea what it's like to write a book. Like, enlighten us. What was the process like writing it, getting it off the ground? How did that all kind of come together?
It started because 2 years ago, in January 2022, the Guardian newspaper in UK did an article about us, how we met.
Yes.
And then HarperCollins, the publisher, picked that up and contacted us saying, do you want to do a book about this? And we thought, a book? Who do people still read books? But
never thought about it. Yeah.
Never thought about it. And there's apparently there's a big market for it. There's still people who'd buy it. I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, it's that. I mean, when you work online, you just don't think of going into print, or we never even done any ebooks. I mean, there was a time where every blogger would just come with ebooks and even selling them on Amazon and stuff. But it's a lot of time investment for something that you don't know if people actually are going to want it or not. So we had no idea, and then they contacted us, and then they saw something, and then we thought, yeah, that's interesting. Because there's so many stories of all these years we've been traveling. We've learned so much about traveling and all the places we've been to. It'd be nice to put it all in a book. So yeah, that's how it all started.
So how useful was having so many things already written on your blog? Were you able to use that, I imagine, a lot as a resource?
Oh yeah, of course.
Copy pasting,
No, no copy paste. We
not at all.
There were 2 moments of I did the bulk of the writing. I did the bulk of the written writing because I'm native English speaker and writing is what I did before. So, and it was usually I'd go to the beach with the laptop, and there's a little bench there, and I'd sit and get inspired. Or we went to Thailand in January last year, and there's moments on the hammock, and I think marijuana is legal now in Thailand. So if you spliffs to get high, get a bit of inspiration.
So this is how you write a book.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Lots of no, but also with talking about it and
We
going
spend
through
so
that.
much time talking about it,
Yeah.
trying to get and that line as well, because you're limited by the number of words that you're going to place in the book and the sections and how you're going to let them out. And then there's so many things you want to put in, and at the same time, what's important, what's not. It's very different than writing a blog post. Your blog post is so detailed for a destination, and people that end up on your blog, they're already looking for that destination.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very different mediums, because a book, it's more, you want to get the inspiration and probably places that you haven't really thought, where you know, traveling there, and you want to see the highlights. And so it's different. It's a different process. So we spend a lot of time trying to get through, like, what do we want to include, what we don't want to include, and then obviously the personal stories that we put in there. And there's some funny ones, like how he learned to ride a bike in Amsterdam and never even thought of telling me before we actually ended up in Amsterdam, and he was on a bike and he started.
That he didn't know how to ride a bike?
No.
What?
And so he fell.
Yeah.
He just wanted to impress me. So this is one of the stories in there. So
Do you know how to ride one now, Stefan?
that is
Yeah,
really
I mean,
good.
after that, I was cycling every day in London for an hour there and back.
He became so
Became
you
obsessed with it.
really,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
very obsessed.
so
But I remember
cute.
at the beginning, like when I saw you riding that bike, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm all right," and the bike was going like this, you know. I'm like, it's gonna fall, and it's going, and the canals in Amsterdam, and oh gosh, it was funny times. I had these good memories from that
Good to
time.
know you worry.
Was it difficult to kind of pick the destinations you wanted to highlight and focus on, or was it kind of very clear right away, like, oh, this is the one because you had such fun memories? I mean, how was that process?
That was the hardest part, and we went so much back and forth. We were limited to 30,000 words, 193 pages, and that's the norm for the standard. It's one of the standard things in the industry. And 30,000 words, you take out the intro, conclusion, like a gay travel tips section, and then you're left with how do you portion each one to each continent. So Asia, Europe are the biggest because we've got most experience there. How do you go about it? So then we said, okay, so which are the obvious destinations that you have to have in a book? You can't have a book about gay travel and not have, say, Barcelona, Madrid, Berlin in there. You know what I mean? You can't have, and then you can't have one about Asia without mentioning Thailand or Japan. But then you've got one, then you want to include a slight curveball to make it interesting, but then you don't want to have ones which don't welcome gay tourists as much. So for Asia, Indonesia is a great one, Malaysia is a great one, but because there's so many and they've got really dubious anti-gay laws, want to, in our list, we thought, okay, let's focus on the others. It's
But then we did include some destinations that, are not the classic gay destinations, especially in the Middle East, like Egypt. And it's just because as a gay traveler, you don't just want to go partying in Berlin or Madrid or Barcelona. Actually, you're interested in a lot of different things. Not every gay traveler will want to go to Egypt, but Egypt is one of the, most touristy destinations in the world. And it's just the culture there and the history is just really rich and interesting. So how do you go there as a gay person? What kind of like tips do you need to know before you travel there? And we thought that was important to include it in the book as well. So we just wanted to cover, kind of get an overall view of all of our favorite destinations. But we've been to so many places and been traveling for so long now that it was hard to actually narrow it down. So hopefully a second book soon will come out with.
I was going to say, it sounds like you have a second edition. The rough draft is done.
Start buying. Put your pre-orders in, guys. Sign up for book number 2. Well, obviously we follow you guys on your travels and on social media and everything, and I feel like when you guys travel, you do a lot of connecting with like locals, in the places that you go. Like, what are the ways that you meet up with locals, or how do you connect with different people where you're visiting to try and get that experience?
I mean, that's changed a lot over the last 10 years. It used to be social media which was at the time Facebook, Twitter, and then Instagram was this new thing that the kids were trying out, and it became what it is now. But where that actually changed, we were in Yekaterinburg, small town in Russia, and
Siberia.
Yeah, in Siberia, and we met a friend there who we were connected to via a friend that we had in Moscow, who was a previous friend of mine, and he picked us up and he was saying to us, guys, I was looking on Grindr and I couldn't find you. And this is in 2013, about 5 years into our relationship. And we were saying to him, well, we don't use Grindr.
What's Grindr?
We didn't. Yeah, that line still works sometimes, my love. And to us, no, we want, and we said we don't use it. We don't need to. Say no. Here in places like Yekaterinburg, where there is no gay bars, no gay clubs, Grindr is kind of the gay scene. It's where people use it as a way to connect, and okay, they do whatever, but it's also a way to tap into the local gay scene. And if there's any underground gay scene happening, any parties happening, that's where the word of mouth in the gay community is going to be. So I recommend you guys set up a Grindr account for your travels when you go to such places. And so we did from there, and it became a useful tool to connect with local queer people. We met a lot of friends in various places from Grindr. And Instagram as well.
Yeah, we've done the same. I mean, I remember when we've traveled around, and not just, I mean, for hookups too. I've used it for hookups, of course, but just to meet someone and go out for a drink and get to meet a local. That's what's actually cool about Grindr's, that it's mostly locals. It's many locals on there. So that's such an easy way into the scene for sure.
Right. Well, and when you're like a new square in the grid that they don't recognize, like you suddenly get all the attention, right? Versus all the people who are always around them, who they tend to ignore. Yeah. You get like 17 messages as soon as you log in.
Well, how has the experience been for you guys traveling into places that do tend to be less LGBT friendly? And, as a gay couple, I mean, are you making sure that you're, not being as affectionate with each other? Do you have a story, a cover?
Well, when we started Russia, classic example, I'd been before, so I was a bit more relaxed about it. Seb was terrified. And it was at the time when
the media was
the media was
so much at the time. There was a lot in the media about Russia and LGBTQ people and how they were threatened, and the violence and so I mean, I was literally, when I remember when we crossed the border from Latvia into Russia, I was literally shaking, and I wasn't really well traveled then. It was like my first time going so far, and Russia is just like. I mean, I thought, that's it. Like, I'm gay. They're gonna beat me up. This was like my idea of Russia, and it wasn't like that at all. But yeah, that's how I felt when I crossed the border. I remember that.
To be clear, this is the Russia of 2014. Not now. It's just changed. They've introduced terrible laws and they're doing awful things. But back then,
it wasn't a gay heaven either.
It wasn't a gay heaven, but it was no different to any other East European country. Which is backward with gays. But Moscow has had at the time definitely a huge gay community. It's a big city, so big numbers. But it did have a lot of gay bars, gay saunas, gay clubs. Mr. B&B had loads of listings in Moscow. I think still has. I don't know how that's gone now, but it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be, and we were terrified. We booked single beds in hotels. We decided we'll act like mates. There won't be, definitely no public displays of affection. We'll act like two friends who are traveling, and we basically stayed in the closet for that trip.
But funny enough, I mean, it's strange. Like looking now with hindsight, like how. I mean, I insisted. I remember at the time it was the beginning of the trip, and to have single beds and stuff. Now we just never ever do that, because wherever we go, even if it's not really gay friendly. Gay businesses and hotels, they will actually want to portray themselves as gay friendly. So we make sure they know.
In most places.
In most places, obviously, and it depends. Yeah. You just have to be aware of where you're going. And, you're not going to go to Egypt and walk hand in hands and start kissing in the street. Right. It's not going to happen. If you go there, you know that you're not going to do that. You just have to be aware. And then, it depends on the destination. So we play it by ear, and we do our research before we go anywhere.
But overall, it sounds like you kind of gained more confidence in being who you are as you traveled, even if it, was a little more less.
We We did,
Yeah.
but then 2018. So we went to Lebanon for my birthday, and we had a collaboration. There's relevance. We had a collaboration with a hotel there to promote them, and Lebanon has an anti-gay law, but it was, don't know if it still is, one of the most gay-friendly of the Arab countries, which it's not saying much, but by Arab standards, it's up there. It was
something.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
we
had a gay
did
club.
our promotions that we would do with a collaboration during the trip. This is where the mistake was. We were posting stuff on social media during the trip, #GayLebanon. The problem arose when we came to leave the country at the immigration queue. He went to one counter, I went to another counter. So I'm Stefan Orestes, British passport. He's Sebastian Chanak, French passport. There's no relevance. They're random. They're two so different. The guys just started shouting in Arabic to each other, and then they started looking at us saying, "Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. You're blacklisted. Why are you in Lebanon? What are you doing here?" And this interrogation went on and on for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then a supervisor came out from the office and pulled us aside, took us into the office, and then continued the interrogation for another half hour. "Why are you doing here? What, you shouldn't be here. You're blacklisted. You don't ever come back to Lebanon. What are you doing here? What do you do for jobs?" It went on and on and on. We were terrified.
The English was limited.
Yeah, that sounds
That's crazy.
terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying at the time. Then with hindsight, we thought, okay, well, we should have been careful anyway. Lebanon is probably one of the most progressive, not in terms of laws, but it's the gay mecca, of the Arab world. They've got gay clubs and stuff, but still, like, if you have a public profile, they don't like it, and they usually don't let you in. And I think the collaboration with the hotel, and somehow someone picked it up.
Yeah.
And because then we contacted the hotel just after this happened, and the hotel never got back to us, and they completely cut communications. And then it was
So they had been contacted, you think, by immigration?
I think so. I have no idea what happened, but they never replied to, and they were really friendly before the collaboration happened and during.
So have you really been blacklisted then? I mean, can you not go back to Lebanon?
So we tried to investigate that after, but when this happened, it was hard to understand what was happening, because they were all talking to each other in English, shouting shouting in Arabic, and we were trying to understand what was going on. And that's when they said, "What is your job?" They kept asking us, "What is your job? What are you doing here? What is your purpose here? And we shouldn't have let you in." And they were looking at each other like, "Do we let them out?" You could tell this was like this that they were thinking about. Do we let them out? And I'm like, "Yes, I just want to go onto the plane."
Yeah.
I'll never come back.
You should have caught us coming in, not coming out.
I was just like, "Yes."
At least coming in, they'll send you back.
What are you doing?
You?
And then I thought we were going to miss our plane. Like, literally, they kept us for an hour, and there was such a long queue just to get into immigration before they actually stopped us. We thought we're not going to make it, and I also thought, like, they're not that stupid. What are they going to achieve keeping us in? Like, they don't want to have public outcry, or they don't want to make some kind of bad publicity for themselves. So they let us out, and then they put us onto the plane. And then I remember on the plane, I was just thinking, my God, if they start Googling my name or Stefan, Nomadic Boys all over the internet. It's obvious for the couple. You can see us kissing, and that's it. I was like, I was scared until the moment that plane took off. And then we relaxed. And when we landed in Cyprus, which is not the most gay-friendly country in Europe, but the law is on your side. But it's very conservative. Like, I'm talking about the people here. Oh my God, I felt so relieved.
Well, I'm glad that you shared that story, though, because that is intense. I'm glad you guys got out.
Yes.
But it does, it's great, I think, to be traveling, because I think you discover a lot. Like, I think, you change your perspective of Russia, the Russia of 2014, right? But at the same time, you do have to be careful. You do have to know where you're going to. So especially as LGBT travelers, we have to take the steps and learn about where we're going before we're just, free and open. I think that's a good kind of little cautionary tale to go travel, but be smart.
It's exactly that. And also, it's not like we're not saying don't go to Lebanon, because we had the best time in Lebanon. People are so friendly. It's a beautiful country. The food is amazing. And the men are really good looking as well. But it's just you have to be careful, and now we learned our lesson. Just make sure you go back into the closet and be careful with your social media. Don't post live stuff, and that's it. We know we learned our mistakes, from this trip. But yeah, it was interesting. It's all in the book, actually. That story about Lebanon. It was one
I was
of
going to ask if Lebanon made it in the book.
Yeah, it is.
It should. It's a good resource for people. Well, other than Lebanon, which it sounds like you're super excited to go back to, what destinations
We loved it. We would go back.
No, I know. It's a joke. That's the shame in it, right? Like you would maybe go back, but now after all that happened, it's
It sounds like you can't go back even if you want to.
Yeah, it sounds like you're blacklisted.
You've been blacklisted.
Listen, there's plenty of other countries for you to visit. And speaking of those countries, which ones are next on your?
So next week we've booked to go to Iran and then to Iraq. And I'm not funny. We're going to Mas Palomas Pride next week.
Keeping it really gay.
I mean, that's
you literally can't get any gayer of a destination and any gayer of event at the gayest destination.
We've got to keep it on brand.
I mean,
have you guys done Mas Palomas Pride before?
We have. We've been going with TUI for the past 2 years, and
now this is just like an annual event for you that you go to.
Yeah. It's fun. It's easy fun.
Any gay event in Spain is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why do you think we've been here for 11 years, haven't left yet?
You've chosen well. You chose well.
Yeah.
But we also one trip that I'm personally proud of. Europride this year is being hosted in Thessaloniki, Greece's second city, and we're hopefully going to that, which will be that last week of June.
I didn't know that's the destination.
Yeah, and I'm growing up. I've got family in Thessaloniki, so I know that city well. So it's kind of, oh my God, Thessaloniki's got Europride. But Greece this year legalized gay marriage, and they've really come a long way. Sebi said Cyprus is not one of the most gay-friendly countries. It's basically what Greece was, 10 years ago. It's still got the Orthodox Church saying these nasty things about gays, but despite that, it's really pushing through, and I'm so proud of Greece. So to be there for it,
I do think the Pride events have to be good in Athens as well, and around wherever they're having them in Greece. It's got to be good this year since the legalization of same-sex marriage.
Yeah,
it's the celebration now.
It's a good year for Greece.
Yeah, it's like, you're supposed to be a lot of it. The origin is fighting for your rights, right? You're protesting for equality, but later in places where you have that, then it becomes the party.
Yeah, and you get to celebrate what you've accomplished, right? So that's cool.
And Greece has got a banger this year for Eurovision. I'm talking.
I haven't listened to any of the songs. Well, we gotta start. We're gonna be watching a Eurovision party next week. I gotta listen to all the songs I usually just listen right before we watch the finale.
I don't even do that. I just watch them.
You're lucky. You don't have to go through that, but he makes me listen to them every single time. Got a piece of paper and I have to put a mark next to them and how I rank them, and
then we call and vote for Cyprus in bulk.
Yeah.
Have you listened to Spain's? Because I think it's okay. But
it's okay. They'll be on the right-hand side of the table this year. They haven't. I liked last year's the flamenco style one, but it didn't do well.
Yeah, I like that last year's much better than this year. This year's I think is fun, but I mean it's not. I don't think it's gonna do super well.
Definitely not gonna.
They had a banger 2 years ago, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yes. When Ukraine won.
Yes.
Everyone was upset because they thought Spain was going to win, and then sort of the empathy vote went to Ukraine for obvious reasons.
Yes,
and well deserved. Although it was a shame. Well, you guys have started a successful blog. You've written your first book. What does the future hold for Nomadic Boys? What other projects do you have down the pipeline? Is there anything else that we can expect?
I really want to get a puppy Labrador, which will be called Angel, and a ginger kitten, and that will be our babies. But I'm not allowed to do this. Apparently, Sebi has
because we travel.
I'm sorry. People who travel a lot, it's really difficult to have pets. I would love to have a dog too, but that's.
I know. I mean, you can always travel with your pets, right? But then it becomes very niche because we get couple traveling with their pets. I mean, who is going to want to?
Honestly, maybe you're tapping into a new market right there. A lot of gays have a lot of pets. And the pet industry is very lucrative, actually.
It is. People spend a lot of money on pets.
It's true.
Your next book is going to be where to travel with your gay pets.
It's a serious question. We're not discussing it because we don't know where blogs are going. The new Google algorithms are slowly causing websites to go down with traffic. Where is AI taking that? They're using our content, but they're not crediting us. So people are getting their answers, but not going to the website. So we are seeing a decline, a slow death in traffic, and we're just like, where is that heading? So do have to have a serious conversation of where we're going to go with the brand future. We have some ideas, but nothing yet set in stone.
What advice would you give to someone now who's like wants to do what you've done, what we've done, like quit their job and like, go on this travel adventure, particularly like what you're talking about? Like, what would you tell someone like that nowadays?
Well, I mean, when we did it, so putting ourselves in those shoes when we did it, our objective was to do just a big trip, and then we had an idea of what sort of job we wanted to do after that. But we left with a savings saved up. We're both risk averse. We don't do something just like that. We're quite careful. So we did spend ages saving up. So we had that as a safety net in case everything went balls up. And we both spoke to our previous bosses, and they both said, like, if when you come back and you want a job, give us a call and we'll have a talk. And he had a business with his online. But the point I'm trying to make is it really depends what you want to achieve, what you want to do. I would be careful just to make sure you've got a backup plan in case things go balls up. You've got a safety net with savings. Do it in a smart way. Maybe do it with earning money while you travel, like teaching English. TEFL is a great way to do that because you can work in somewhere like South Korea or Taiwan, which are great destinations, and you can earn money while saving up, and then from there you can do trips around. They're both good transport hubs for Asia, especially South Korea. So that's another route to doing it.
Yeah, but did you mean like starting vlogging or doing blogging?
It's just like traveling the world. I think it's
either. I mean, well, Stefan really answered
dream.
The travel question, but if you want to comment on like the business question, what would you say?
Don't.
Don't be our competition.
Yeah,
that's the funny part. Like, we could consider each other like competition, but we don't, right? We always like consider ourselves more like collaborative partners more than anything.
There is not enough gay stuff online to call it
for
competition.
Sure.
And there just isn't
There's enough space. I've always thought it for everyone, for sure. So it's always better to work together than I think against each other.
Yes, when you think about it, it's a lot of work actually. When now we know the learning curve to try to write something online and then making it something that you can live, with and make money, and it's a very different story. It took us so long to learn how to make money. And it's not so easy. So you have to be confident with the skills that you have, and they're all transferable to anything that you do online. So you just do what you do and do it well. And I think there's a lot of different ways to approach a business online. If you want to start today about traveling, you can focus on social media. I think if you're likable, and that's the most important part, people can relate to you. They will want to see you and follow you, and I think that's the bottom line.
I don't think likable. I think you're engaging. It's a difference.
Yeah, engaging. Yeah.
I think everybody can find their audience though too.
Yeah.
Like someone that I might find engaging for myself, another person will as well. I think that because they're really, it's a big world, and when it's online, you have access to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, normally we wrap up with where you're traveling to next, but we know you're going to Gay Pride in Maspalomas. So let's wrap up with where can people buy your book?
Oh, go to our website. It's got a big banner on there, nomadicboys.com. It's starting point.
Perfect.
Otherwise, our link tree is everywhere, and we've got obviously the links to the relevant Amazon page to buy it.
And we'll also put a link in the show notes too of that podcast episode, so we can direct people. Looking forward to it.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on. Finally, in season 3, we're so excited.
Thanks for having us.
But guys, I'm a big fan. I've been listening to from day one. I love baking, and I have you guys on in the background as I'm baking.
I love it.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, hopefully we will No, go ahead, Sevi. What were you going to say?
I don't know, whilst I'm on the computer working, and I just hear him giggling while he bakes. Someone has to work.
Because David made some stupid comment, and then I'm just
Absolutely.
letting it. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much. I hope we can catch up sometime soon. Maybe
I'm
we'll
sure we
see
will
each
in
other
person, yeah.
somewhere in the world, or maybe
Looking
Las
forward to
Palomas.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. So
Yeah,
you guys,
thank you so much, guys.
we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.
All right. So thank you, Nomadic Boys. Thank you, everyone who you're listening to the podcast or watching if you're on social media. Please be sure to subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever you listen. And be sure to leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed our episode. Plus, if you're watching on any of the social media platforms, you can leave a comment or even share the episode so your friends can see this. And we're always on social media. We're at twobadtourists.com. And also, at any way, leave us comments, whether it's through our website or on social media, about what topics you might want to hear about in the future.
But for the next episode that you'll be hearing about, we are going to be going to Malaga for a weekend to visit some outlet mall there and do some shopping. And we're also going to spend some time in Torremolinos. We've done Torremolinos a few times over the years, and it's a wonderful destination. It's going to be my first time in Malaga, actually spending time
It's
in the
going to be
main
my
city.
first time too. I've only ever taken the train in and then the train directly to Torremolinos, but they're close. So I'm excited to actually see.
So we'll explore the city. We're going to go explore the MacArthur Glen Outlet Mall. Are we going to be staying at an Only You hotel?
Yeah, we're staying at Only You. Our friend Randy here in Madrid works for them, and we're doing a partnership with them. So that should be our next podcast episode coming out in about a month.
All right. So until then, we'll see you later.
And buy Nomadic Boys book.
Yeah.